In the last lecture, we saw how date and time is represented by Excel. And in this lecture, we will see how we can use two different ways to customize the date and time that we want to see. So I'm going to put the current date a few times and we will change the format. Now, presently, the format is DD, and 4 So we have two dates, the month and the year. To change the format, we can select the date option, click on the drop down, go to more number formats, and here you notice we have an option called custom. The moment you click on custom, it tells you exactly the format that I told you, which is DD, and 4 Let's see how we can customize this. Now we already know that a number is how Excel understands a date, which means that if I remove this entire format, then you would notice that my result simply comes as 43994, which means that since we have not defined a data type for the date, Excel is simply representing my date as a number. So if I press OK, you will notice the date is represented as a number. So let us try a few different combinations. If I say only a D, a single D, it gives us the number 12. If I say 3 Ds, it gives us FRI. And if I give it 4 Ds, it gives me the entire week, which is Friday. I can put a comma and then I can write DD once again. So I get the number. And then to get the month, we can put a dash again, and then Y, 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 4 Ys. And this way you can get both the day and the date together. Now this is also customizable. So for example, if you want to write the date is, if you notice carefully, I have put the date is inside double quotes so that our final result will now look like this. It says that, let me remove this. Okay, it says that the date is Friday, 12th of June, 2020. But here's the best part. If I add a number here, equal to B2 plus B4, you notice that we still get the result. And the reason we're getting the result is because the value in B2 might look like a text string, but it is actually a date value. How do you know that for sure? If you look at the formula bar, it tells you that the value in B2 is actually only a date value. Even though to the user, it might appear that it is a text string that you have written. Remember, you have not actually written the words the date is. It is only appearing in the custom format. Now, what are the ways in which you would want to use it? Let's say you only want to show the day, right? I'm writing the 1st of January 2020. If I only want to show the day, now we know what to do. We can click on the drop down, select more number formats, and in custom, we will only write DD, and that will only show us the day like this. Now, please remember, if you try to do a +5 on this, it will only come like this, which means that it is adding 5 days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but you can't extract the date because this result has now got converted into a day value, right? But if you look at the formula bar, it tells us that there is still an underlying number here, which means that, watch carefully, which means that if I convert only this data type, once again, so if I make this DD, YY, you notice that we get the result. But this is very strange, right? If I've converted something into a date format, how is it into a day format? How is it getting converted back into a proper date? The reason is that whenever you change the format in the format cells box, it does not change the underlying date format. That means that a date remains a date, but it only is shown to the user as a day. So let's do this once again so that we understand this properly. I have 1st of January 2020. I have 1st of January 2020. I'm going to change it in two different ways. In the first one, we will go to format cells and I'll change it to DD. And in the second one, we will write a function. So we say equal to text, we select our complete date, and the format would be DD. Now see what happens, everyone. Both the results look exactly the same, right? So in the first one, we have used a custom format, and in the second one, we have used a text function. The difference is that the result that you find in the text function is a text value. That means that this is not a day anymore. This is simply a text that says Wednesday. How do I prove that to you? If you try to add 5, you notice you get Monday, but if you try to add 5 here, you get a value error. Obviously, because this is just a text called Wednesday, and obviously you can't add a number to a text value. Why is the +5 working in the previous one? Because in this one, we only changed the format. Remember, we did not change the underlying number. Now, the best way to be always sure as to what you're doing is to always look at the formula bar. If you notice, the formula bar tells us that this is a date. But if you look at the next one, it tells us that this looks like a date. But if you look at the formula bar, you will notice it only shows me a text like this. So it's a very, very important difference. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that by changing something in the format cells box or by using a text function, we get the same result. Now remember, despite the fact that you will get the same result, it is not actually the exact same result. When you use a format cells, the data type remains the same, but when you use a text function, the data type changes completely. Watch once again. If I try to find the length of this, before I press enter, think about it. Now the length will not come as 9 because the underlying value in that cell is not Wednesday. Remember, the underlying value is 1st of January 2020. But 1st of January 2020 is a number. So the length will come as, so let me just do that once again. I'll change it into a number. And you notice the length comes as 5. But if I find the length here, the length comes as 9 because it is counting all the characters in Wednesday, right? So that's the difference. The reason this came as a 5 was because it was only telling me that the length of 43831 was coming as 5. This again is a very important observation because this helps you understand in what context should you be using a custom format versus using a text function.